secret to serendipitous intervention is really asking the right question. Have you ever asked yourself, is this the right thing to do?
No, never.
Pull! Stop! 1,000. I was tumbling towards the earth at over 100 miles an hour, completely out of control, with one hand out, catching the wind, and the other hand holding my ripcord, trembling terribly. When I stopped and asked myself, is this the right thing to do? Right then I remembered only 1 week before, with my first jump, I asked myself that very same question. Is this the right thing to do? Packed like sardines in a can, the three of us were squeezed into the back of this little Cessna 172, sitting on the floor with our main parachutes on our back and our reserve parachutes on our belly. I was squeezed in next to Mike. Mike was this guy I worked with, this crazy-ass vet just back from Vietnam. He's the guy that talked me into skydiving. Next to Mike was Nancy, another Kearney State College freshman. She was next to the door, but there was no door. The door had been taken off the plane to make it lighter, and there was no back seat. We were actually sitting on the floor of the plane, and there was no co-pilot seat. That's where Terry was, our instructor, as the pilot feathered the engine. And Terry looked out and then turned and yelled, "Ready?" No, I was not ready. Fortunately, Nancy was the first one. Nancy steps out, climbs out on the wing, holds onto the strut, puts 1 foot on the tire and 1 foot on the step, and she has her eyes closed at this point because she doesn't want to look down. She's hanging on. Terry looks out, sees the target below, which is right next to the hangar, and he yells, "Go!" Nancy shook her head. Her eyes still closed. He yelled, "Go!" She just hung on and didn't even move. Finally, he yelled, "Go!" and slapped her on the helmet. She shook her head, turned, and that's when she actually opened her eyes. And she looked at us and smiled like a crazy cat and jumped. Mike, sitting next to me, leaned forward so he could see her jump, just as the pilot tipped the plane on its side so he could see her jump. Mike fell out the door. Terry caught him by his shoulder strap, pulled him back in as we leveled the plane up, threw him back in the back, and yelled, "Idiot, you don't even have your static line hooked up yet." Now Nancy had wanted a softer landing, and so she had chose the 28-foot cargo chute instead of the standard Korean War issue 14-foot parachutes that Mike and I got stuck with. Well, turns out that was a problem because that cargo parachute was camouflaged. And so by the time we got the plane tipped over on the side so we could look for Nancy again, she was long gone, lost to an endless sea of green Nebraska cornfields. No sign where she was. Well, we couldn't stop, so we kept going, and it was Mike's turn to jump. Well, turns out Nancy sprained her ankle when she landed in an irrigated cornfield, knee-deep in mud. She literally unhooked her parachute and just left the 28-foot camouflage cargo parachute stretched out across the top of that corn. and hobbled her way back, all the way back, because she hadn't jumped when he told her to jump, and so she was way off target. Hobbled all the way back. We were packing our chutes for our third jump when she came walking out of that cornfield covered in mud, climbed in her car, drove away, and that's the last we ever saw of Nancy. Mike's jump was even more exciting. Mike was so wired, he was out there just shaking. He was just wide-eyed and ready to go. And so when Terry yelled, "Go!" Mike pushed off and somersaulted backwards. The static line hooked onto his parachute came up between his legs, went over his shoulder, spun around, came up between his legs and over his shoulder again. Then it drew taut and spun him back the other direction like a yo-yo on a string. Snap! He walked around at work like this for a whole week. Couldn't even dare sit down. My jump was perfect. It was my best jump, my very first jump. I missed the 10-foot bullseye that was between the hangar and the runway by just 5 feet. But this jump, my 7th jump, my first actual free fall where you gotta pull your own ripcord, this jump was not going so well. When I looked, when I was spinning around, I realized that I had actually grabbed the shoulder strap to my gosh coveralls and not my ripcord. So that's when I let go of that shoulder strap and grabbed the ripcord and said, "Pull! Stop! 1,000. I asked myself, is this the right thing to do? If I pulled that ripcord while spinning through the air, I would surely tangle up on all the lines of my parachute and die. So I immediately let go and said, "Arch 1,000." I swept into a belly down position immediately. Look 1,000, reach 1,000, pull 1,000. And there, my big, beautiful 14-foot white Korean War issue parachute is all full of air. And I floated in pure silence. Tick, tick, tick. I looked down, and my reserve parachute has an altimeter on it, and it said 1,002, 1,001. Kaboom! The shotgun cartridge inside that shell detonated at 1,000 feet, just like it's supposed to do. That's why you say 1,000, is to remember to turn off your reserve parachute. Now I'm falling very slowly, upside down, my main parachute on my back, my reserve parachute coming off my belly, and I've got 2 big parachutes overhead bouncing against each other in what's called a Mae West, right out of World War II. Boing, boing, boing. And then a gust of wind catches me and spins me around and around and around. And suddenly my 2 parachutes start to tie up into each other and the lines start to cut through the fabric and whoosh! Everything collapses instantly. That's called a Roman candle. It's like a rock with a ribbon tied on the end of it. You're falling very fast. So I start climbing up the lines and climbing and climbing and climbing. Finally I get all the way to the top. Is this the right thing to do? And I heard, "Look, look, look." And so I looked and smiled like a crazy cat, threw out all that parachute, stretched my arms out, stretched my legs out, and went whoosh! I landed dead center, smack dab right in the middle of Nancy's 28-foot camouflage cargo parachute stretched out across that tall corner. I didn't even hit the mud. I yelled, "Yes, 1,000. That was the right thing to do." Yippee yippee, serendipity. Thank you.